The latest update for Wuthering Waves is here, and I've tested its performance on the PS5. If you watched my last video covering Wuthering Waves on my channel, you may have noticed how I used multiple shots with camera pans in the opening and how in this video I have not. There's a reason for that. Just see for yourself. As the camera pans more and more to the left, the frame rate continues to drop, and the stutters in the frame time graph continue to become ever more frequent. So, while I originally planned on having a spruced up intro like in my last video, the performance problems in this update made that look rather awful to view in the end. So I opted to cut it out and just show you that even this is now affected by the sudden performance regressions introduced with Septimon. Zenless Zone Zero and now Wuthering Waves. I have to wonder, is there something in the gacha water that is causing both Hoyoverse and Kuro Games to release updates that have great content but terrible performance on the PlayStation 5? While I can't answer that, I can continue on with my performance review for Wuthering Waves' latest update version 2.4 on PS5. Let's quickly recap some important facts for the game on the standard PS5. The game still runs at an upscaled 4K. The internal resolution still appears to be set to 2557 by 1437, which matches the internal resolution of the quality preset for the PC upscalers in the game when you have your PC set to output at a display resolution of 4K. The image quality for the upscaled 4K on PS5 is generally favorable, especially due to the lack of disocclusion fizzle. I did see an instance of smearing when I was exploring Septimon, but it wasn't visible during battles or normal gameplay. So for this version of the game, that artifact gets a pass. As for the graphics options in this version, you still do not get much. Like I recommended in my last video, please do not disable VSync. There are reports of PS5's overheating when VSync is disabled, and the game does not have its performance magically cured if you disable it, so only disable it at your own risk. On PS5, one of the biggest trouble spots in this game that just baffles me with the lack of fixes is the in-game map. As you attempt to navigate it, the frame rate is just absolutely abysmal. Zooming in and out also causes the frame rate to tank even further until you finish doing so. Considering how often you have to use the map to help you navigate, teleport, or find collectibles, you have to wonder how this hasn't been fixed yet. This alone makes the game very difficult to enjoy on PS5, as this issue is non-existent on PC and mobile. As I continue to show you the performance of the game in this patch, I want you to remember the following details. For a smooth 60 FPS experience, we need each frame in that second to be delivered in 16.67 milliseconds. We want that frame time graph to be as flat as possible. Every jump, spike, or wobble in the frame time graph indicates that a frame or frames are no longer being delivered in a timely manner. This is the main reason Wuthering Waves feels as ugly as it does to play on PS5. While frame rate is important, frame time is even more so. The frame time issues in this game can cause delayed or missed button presses, so your failure to dodge or parry at the right time may not always be a skill issue for as long as these performance issues of the PS5 version continue to exist. Now I'm gonna let all of the clips I tested play out. You can use the chapters to skip to your desired series of tests or straight to my TLDW. Remember to pay attention to both the frame rate and frame time graphs to see why the game feels as awful as it does on PS5.
じゃあ実験を始めましょう。やし尽くす。エピックショット。逃げ場などない。火の雨が降り注ぐ。こんな手はどう？神にも劣らぬダッチキル。耳を澄ませ。 気をつけて。神にも劣らぬ。正確に。
怒りました。燃やし尽くす。クライマックスだ。演技もお手の物さ。怒りました。死にたいのか。
火の雨が降り注ぐ。逃げ切れるかな。
ついてこられますか。終わりにする。入力星の歌よ。私の後ろに大グレンゲ。これはどう。ひざまずきなさい。私が誰かわかりますか。入力いけ。終わりにする。アドアストラ。これがモンテリの挨拶です。逃げられるとでも。勝利の女神が微笑んだ。いい度胸ですわね。せいやアルテの完成ですわ。私が誰かわかりますか。入力私の後ろに権限せし監獄よ。臨機応変。
逃げ場などない。神にも劣らず。こんな手はどう。
実験を始めましょう。静かにしろ。クライマックスだ。
任せて。断ち切る。逃げ切れるかな。逃がさない。
速やか臨機応変。私の後ろに入力アドアストラ。ひざまずきなさい。そこです。勝利の女神が微笑んだ。まだまだモンテリの名にかけて終わりにする。私の後ろに権限せし監獄よ。
久しぶりに。
これは大きくなったら最強のグラニ
ルーパ選手の噂を聞いたんだけどさ、 試合本当にすごかったな。
すごすぎる。
俺は大きくなったら最強のグラディエーターになる。あの人たち殴り合いに発展しそうだけど。良さそう。
装備が欲しければぜひ。
さようなら、偉大なる。
みんなでアニマイポテオを飲もう。
あの人たち殴り合いに発展しそうだけど。えっ、
気をつけて。
死にたいのか。耳を澄ませ。より盛大に。
こんな手はどう？
アジは俺に任せろ。劇場入りの時間だ。炎よ、燃え盛れ。怒りました。静かにしろ。
貫く。正確に。ここから終わりなのか。気をつけて。逃げ切れるかな。断ち切る。
耳を澄ませ。輝きの瞬間。劇場入りの時間だ。おっ、あと怒りました。死にたい。
任せて。こんな手はどう？
怒りました。愛になれ。
試練よ、焼き尽くせ。行こう。へえ、そういうのが好きなんだ。剣士、行くわよ。ご退場願おう。ピード教心配入力。
切る。切れ。せい。痛みよ、我が身をまとえ。さて、
入力。アドアスト。
どこを見ている？剣士、出番。そろそろ終わりね。何事も素早く、いい心がけよ。
タン殲滅の時間だ。騎兵も戦争に不可欠。
これが心。 入力。剣士行くわよ。
ゆっ雷鳴よ、牙を向け。
終わりにする。入力。痛めつけてほしい。行け。朝日にきらめく霜のごとく。ヘニュールアドアストラ。開花の時。咲き乱れる花々よ。
まだ使いそうだよ。
もうどこにも逃げられないよ。これ楽しそう。終わりにする。行け。輪廻に帰る。獲物の匂いだ。入力。星の歌よ。大グレンゲ。終わりにする。もっと私を楽しませて。この痛みを感じて。その命、私のもの。入力。私の後ろにその枷を解き放て。もうどこにも逃げられないよ。入力。アドアストラ。行け。咲き乱れる花々よ。これ楽しそう。行け。芽生えの時。花の養分にしてあげる。愛しの種よ。
Wuthering Waves on PS5 is not in a good state. The game has awful performance in just about every area you generally encounter on a daily basis, just keeping your Astrite income flowing. A basic daily task at Margaritas is not even doable at a completely performant frame rate. The game suffers from stutters when panning the camera, and traversing on foot just about anywhere in the game is a visual pain in the frame rate department. Flying, while the most fun way to traverse, is also extremely poorly performant on PlayStation 5. The game does not run at a native 4K, but rather an upscaled one. Its internal resolution appears to be identical to the PC's quality preset at an output resolution of 4K, which is 2557 by 1437. I do not think this is a bad thing, as the image quality is generally favorable, and this game lacks the usual artifacts from upscaling, with only the occasional smearing that does not appear to happen during gameplay, but only during cutscenes with smoke effects or depth of field. The game does not have many graphics options to choose from, and I would highly recommend not disabling VSync due to many reports online of PS5's overheating once this option is disabled. Only disable it at your own risk. Exploration, which is a strong selling point of open world games, is an area with exceptionally bad performance on PS5 in this title. The in-game map, which is essential for exploration, runs nowhere near 60 FPS, and it constantly drops frames as you attempt to navigate it. Zooming in and out further amplifies the performance drops. Once you're actually roaming around, not a single region appears to lock to a solid 60 FPS, and the appearance of any kind of NPCs appears to trigger further performance drops. The faster you attempt to move around can also further amplify the issues in open world exploration. Battles in general constantly feel bad to play, and the performance issues, especially in the frame time department, can cause missed or delayed button presses. So your failure to dodge or parry is not entirely a skill issue as long as these performance problems continue to exist on PS5. Something extremely apparent in this update is NPC pop-in. For people wanting an immersive experience in city areas for the game, well, that is going to be extremely difficult with how often you will see NPCs pop in and out of existence. The existence of this pop-in issue makes the already poor performance when walking around cities feel even worse. It breaks any kind of immersion you could have had, and it makes the performance issues seem worse than they are because you can visually see the lack of detail that suddenly just pops in. Essentially, Wuthering Waves on PS5 is not the way I would choose to experience the game. If you were looking to buy a PS5 for Wuthering Waves, do not. I know people jokingly call the PS5 the Gacha Station 5, and it honestly is how I use it. The current state of gachas on the platform leave me extremely unwilling to recommend the console for gacha game consumption. Zenless Zone Zero continues to regress on the console, and while Wuthering Waves has always had issues on PS5, like with Zenless Zone Zero, it has become abundantly clear that the developers, Hoyoverse and Kuro Games, have no real interest in optimizing their cash cows for the console hardware of today. Perhaps like with Genshin Impact on the PS4, the currently poorly performant gachas on PS5 will only run well on the next generation of machines powered by AMD, so presumably the PS6. If that is the case, then I fear that as long as these games continue to rake in money on PlayStation, we will likely not see these performance issues fixed unless PlayStation themselves mandate stable performance for PlayStation Store submissions. With all that said, thanks for watching. If you still want me to cover Wuthering Waves on PS5, let me know by liking this video and dropping a comment. If you play a lot of gacha games like I do and find my content interesting, then please consider subscribing if you haven't already.